The Colorado Rockies, after taking the first game of the series against the New York Mets, they lose the next two, including today on this Wednesday, August the 8th, losing to New York by a final score of 9-1. Austin Gomber, no good. A lineup, no good either. We'll break it all down on today's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast. Let's get into it, folks.
You are Locked On Rockies POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Rockies postcast. Hope everybody is doing well out there on this August the 8th, a Thursday, as the Major League Baseball season continues to roll along for the Colorado Rockies. And unfortunately for them today, not much of an effort as they get blown out in this one. Final score 9-1. And we'll break it all down for you today right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm your host, Aniello Piro. You can follow me on social media at Media by AP if your heart desires. And make sure to subscribe to the brand new, it's not brand new anymore. I guess it's been around for a couple of months, but make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. Anybody that is watching live right now or after the fact, appreciate you guys as always. Make sure to drop some comments, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode as we get ready to talk about the Colorado Rockies and their unfortunate performance today, losing to the New York Mets 9-1. But a little bit of a programming note as well. This Sunday, I will make the maiden voyage on the Locked On Broncos postcast. So if there's anybody out there that is listening to the Rockies postcast right now or is listening in episodes past, if you like this format, if you like this style, and you want to apply the same talking points and kind of format to the Broncos, I hope that you'll join me on the Locked On Broncos postcast, first episode coming up this Sunday afternoon, as the Broncos will have their first preseason game of the year against the Indianapolis Colts. So we'll make sure to break it down on the Locked On Broncos postcast. But again, guys, make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. There's some exciting stuff in the works for the Buffs as well, and the Nuggets when we eventually get to basketball season. But today's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And let me also start out by saying this. Like, I get it out of the way whenever the Mets are in town. Like, I was born and raised a Met fan. I think it's so ironic that I went to one of the three games and the one that I happened to go to. So the one night that I didn't do a postcast for this series happens to be the game in which the Rockies won and the Mets lost. It just seems like that's so par for the course for my sports fandom career. Is, just picking the wrong games to go to. I swear the Mets lose. I should have gone to the last two games. Maybe I would have given you guys some victories for the Rockies had it played out that way. But it was just so, I was sitting here watching the game and I saw the Mets get out to this big lead and I was like, of course. Like, why did I not go today? Why did I go Tuesday when it was a competitive game up until the end there, with obviously the good guys, the Rockies in this instance, coming out on top? But I digress. So let's get into this game, folks. And if you listen to last night's postcast, if you listen to any shows when Austin Gomber is either on the mound or the day before he's on the mound, as I like to end the show with kind of my look ahead, my preview at what's coming up next for the Rockies in their next game. Last night we really harped on the first inning struggles for Austin Gomber. It is something that has plagued him throughout the entirety of his career. Without looking at the numbers, I would probably go out as far to say that this has probably been the best season of Austin Gomber's career. This is a guy who was the centerpiece of the trade, along with Eleris Montero, who's not in the is he even with the organization anymore? I think they DFA'd him. He might just be out there. If not, he's in AAA. Eleris Montero. I mean, I don't want to make this a ranting on the Nolan Arenado trade show, but when your two centerpieces in that trade are a starting pitcher who's been anything but consistent and an infielder that has had to move from third to first base and cannot stick with your franchise, you obviously screwed that one up. And I know that Nolan isn't exactly thriving in St. Louis. It's not like he's competing for a World Series every season since he's been traded from the Rockies. But at the end of the day, was that a Bill Schmidt orchestrated trade? It all just kind of blends together. But again, par for the course. And Gomber today just absolutely shelled on the mound. His line today, 3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and allowed 2 home runs. The Mets jumped out to a 4-0 lead in the first inning. And, the Rockies just continue to put themselves in these holes that they can't climb out of. And I guess it wouldn't have mattered even if they were only down a couple of runs throughout the course of this game, because they only managed to generate one run of offense on their own. But, this is just kind of where we're at with this Rockies club, where if the starting pitcher is unable to give them a quality start or at least 3 or 4 quality innings, they put themselves behind the 8 ball here. And I've got Austin Gomber's highlights on the screen right now. He's got, this is perfect timing. Austin Gomber's ERA in the first inning this season. Anyone have any guesses? I'll give you a couple seconds. Any guesses at what Austin Gomber's earned run average in the first inning this season is? 11.45. 11.45. That is Austin Gomber's earned run average in the first inning of ball games this season. Not his last 2 starts, not his last 4 starts, not his last 6 starts. The body of work for Austin Gomber this season. Let's see if I can, let's see how many games Mr. Gomber has started for us here. Austin Gomber. I also love how you type in Austin Gomber and the first thing that comes up is a picture of him in a Cardinals uniform. 2024, he started 22 games. I'm not sure if that is updated for today's game. So he's either started 22 or 23 games for the Rockies this season. An ERA of 11.45. That is an atrocity. I mean, given the sample size, I'm assuming that's got to be a league high, right? Like if a guy that's made at least, I don't know, call it 10 to 15 starts, like as the qualifier, that's got to be a league worst number. 11.45 earned run average for Austin Gomber. And to put it in perspective, his season-long ERA is 4.92, which isn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but it puts it in perspective that the body of work for Gomber outside of the first inning is 4.92 for the ERA, 11.45 for the first inning alone. And as we mentioned, the Mets obviously did their homework, did their scouting report, because they jumped on Austin Gomber in this one. Francisco Lindor ripped his 28th double of the season to start the game. So that's the thing. Gomber wasn't able to give himself an out or two to let him try to settle into this first inning. The Mets just absolutely pummeled them from the jump. Lindor with that leadoff double, his 28th. Jose Iglesias then follows it up with a double. So here we are, essentially a handful of pitches in, and the Mets are already up 1-0 because Jose Iglesias' double, his 11th of the year, brings home Lindor to score. So there we go. The Mets get up 1-0, and it was just a doubles barrage for the Mets in the first inning. J.D. Martinez finished it, followed up Iglesias with a double of his own, his 18th of the season. That brings around Iglesias to score. So, in the opening sequence of this game, before even one out is recorded, it's like clockwork with this Mets offense, who's been a little streaky. I mean, that's the thing is I watch a lot of Mets baseball, not as much as I watch the Rockies, but I do, I keep tabs on it. They were hot in July, and really post All-Star break, it's kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster ride. But today they took real good advantage of Austin Gomber. So J.D. Martinez, Jose Iglesias, and Francisco Lindor in reverse order there. 3 consecutive doubles to open up the game for the New York Mets in this one. And then Pete Alonso does what Pete Alonso does. He follows up the J.D. Martinez double with a 2-run bomb. And that puts the Mets up 4-0 and essentially puts the game to bed, because the Rockies offense, as we know, is rather inconsistent. And when it comes to digging yourself out of these holes, I don't care if you're the Murderers Row Yankees. Obviously, they're going to have a better chance than the 2024 Rockies team of digging themselves out of a hole like that. But it's just been the same old song and dance with this Rockies team throughout the course of the season. And, of course, after, the bases are cleared, Alonso's 24th home run, Vientos, Torrens, 1 out, 2 out, double by Jeff McNeil, and then a Harrison Bader fly out. So, relatively short order at that point for the Mets after the damage was done there in the first inning. Which is just disappointing. And I believe Austin Gomber, let me look this up as well, is in a contract year. I believe this is his last year of team control. Knowing the Rockies, let's get this confirmed before I blast them real quick, because I got to be fair. I got to be fair when it comes to talking about the Rockies. Oh, no, he's got one more arbitration eligible season. So arbitration 3 next year, and then he'll be an unrestricted free agent in the 2026 season, in which he'll be 32 years old. So right now at 30 years old, you're kind of expecting Austin Gomber to be the close to the best version of himself. I mean, at this point, I think it's a known commodity in regards to what he is at the big league level, but just not a whole lot to say about Austin Gomber today. We beat it like a dead horse. The first inning has been his kryptonite, and that's exactly what played out today. He didn't really settle into too much of a groove. He didn't give, or he ends up giving an additional run there in the third inning. Let's see. Another Pete Alonso home run. So his 25th of the year, excuse me. That's all she wrote for Austin Gomber. So 3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 2 home runs allowed, both off the bat of Pete Alonso. And that is good for a 4.92 earned run average. That's where we find ourselves right now with Austin Gomber. So, okay, let's hit a quick break. When we come back, let's continue along with the conversation. I'll put a bow on some of this Austin Gomber discussion, and we've got to dive in to this Rockies lineup. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of running out of things to say when it comes to the lack of production. But again, just nothing going for them on offense. We'll talk about it when we come back right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. Be back here in just a couple of minutes, folks. All right, let me tell you about our friends over at Game Time, because Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, and with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets, and I am a big fan of Game Time, guys. I believe the tickets that I bought on Tuesday for my dad and I got through Game Time. I went and saw Billy Joel with my parents at Coors Field a few weeks back. We got our tickets through Game Time, and that code, Locked On MLB, for $20 off your first purchase. It works, folks. It absolutely, positively works, because I used it. So I can tell you, or I guess my father used it because I'm a returning customer of Game Time, but my dad he's like, Game Time, I've never heard of this ticketing app. Oh, this is nice. Makes it easy to buy your tickets. Oh, all in pricing. Fantastic. I can get a view from my seat. And since I'm a first-time user, I'm going to get $20 off my first purchase. It is no brainer with our friends over at Game Time. So be sure to use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, they do apply. And let me tell you real quick about some of the great features. Their last minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and all that good stuff. Their flash deals are incredible because you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the games or the event. Zone deals take the guesswork out of buying tickets because you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats for you. Plus, when you toggle their all-in pricing feature, it shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkouts. You can get a view from your seat with their panoramic seat view, the lowest ticket price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Plus, your ticket is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, they do apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host with the most, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are doing well out there. We got a little bit of a break if you're here in Colorado from the heat wave. I don't know if anybody went. I know it's, 77 or 76. It literally just changed in real time on my Apple Watch. So it's still kind of nice out there. But I walked out this morning. I actually had to put on a jacket when I was going to Denver Broncos training camp. So a little bit of a break from the heat wave, and obviously the coolness applied to the Rockies at Coors Field as they have cooled off. Not that they were very hot to begin with, but they did win the opening game of the series and subsequently proceed to drop 2 consecutive games in rather non-competitive fashion. So today, 9-1 your final score. The Rockies at 42-74. The Mets improved to 61-54. And away we go. Hey, Aniello, what up, Yuki? I hope I pronounced that as correctly. If I didn't, please be sure to correct me in the comments. But hope you're doing well, brother. Tough game for the Rockies, but unfortunately, par for the course. And if any of you are watching live, if you're watching after the fact, you're like, oh, I can watch this live on YouTube. I always welcome the comments, so make sure to drop them. Let me know what you're thinking about the Rockies. I love to get the fans involved, and that's why I'm so excited about the Broncos postcast that we're going to start doing, because I know Broncos country and Broncos fans everywhere have been itching to see what Bo Nix and company look like. So I'm excited to do that show as well, and really just get this community involved. So any Rockies fans out there, make sure to hop into that comment section. My guy Yuki getting us the first comment of the show. But what was I going to say? Oh, on that note, make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Denver Sports or Locked On Sports Denver, YouTube channel, so you never miss an episode of what's coming up. But like I said, we spent a majority of the first segment breaking down Austin Gomber's start. 11.45 is his earned run average in the first inning this season, which is just absolutely horrendous. And I mentioned it early on in the program too, that even if the Rockies lineup, or even if Austin Gomber had turned in a decent start, right? Doesn't get shelled in that first inning, gives up a run or two, right? The Rockies offense wasn't going to do him any favors in this one, as they end up generating 7 base hits today. Do the Rockies? Tovar had a couple of base hits. Brendan Rodgers had a couple of hits. Brenton Doyle with a base hit, but literally not much doing for the Rockies outside of that. Chris Bryant had a base hit. Michael Toglia had a base hit. Excuse me, I was reading the wrong thing. Brenton Doyle did not have a base hit. He did have an RBI though. Tovar with 2, Rodgers with 2, Doyle none, Bryant with 1, nothing from Stallings, 1 base hit from Toglia, nothing from Hunter Goodman, nothing from Sam Hilliard and Mr. Shunk there at the bottom of the lineup. Those are your 7 base hits for the Rockies. Mets gave us an altitude adjustment. And I actually heard there was a fun story that they were telling on the TV broadcast last night that, who was it? Luis Severino started on Friday, or not Friday. It's literally Thursday. How could he have started on Friday? What is wrong with me? Started on Tuesday. That would have been, and I forget who was it. Was it David Peterson yesterday for the Mets as well? But they were talking about on the Rockies broadcast how the Mets had considered actually sending them out early because they had to play a makeup game on Monday in St. Louis, which was originally scheduled to be an off day for the Mets. They had talked about sending some of their starting pitchers to Colorado early so they can acclimate to the altitude. But apparently the Mets doctor said that, according to some studies or whatever, that more than 24 hours at altitude can actually negatively impact the team or negatively impact the pitchers. So I don't really know the science behind that, but seeing your comment just maybe want to throw out that little tidbit of information. But whether it was Sevy game 1, yes, Blackburn game 2, and Peterson was today, the Denver native out of Regis Jesuit High School, I believe, off the top of my head. Good stuff, Yuki. You're on top of it, my friend. Appreciate you. And, at the end of the day, guys, this lineup is, I swear, I keep in the top right corner, I think is where it'll be for you on your screen. Lineup lifeless. I swear I'm able to just keep that in the rundown like 8 out of every 10 shows, because it feels like 8 or 9 out of every 10 games, they're going to put up 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs. I mean, and that's kind of been the abnormality of this Rockies team in the last few seasons. Typically, they've been able to generate runs, relatively at will when playing at 20th and Blake, that of course being Coors Field. And that, unfortunately, has just not been the case this season. And I'm not surprised, guys. I mean, just look at the body of work in this lineup, right? Tovar is a legit Major League Baseball player. Rodgers, what is Brendan Rodgers at this point? I know he's hitting 275. He's heated up as a little bit as the season's gone along. But like is Brendan Rodgers a surefire starter on 80% of the other teams out there? Is Brendan Rodgers a starter on a baseball or on a playoff team? No, like, you know what I'm saying? So like the Rockies got themselves a lot of these fringe players. Brenton Doyle's a player. We know Chris Bryant. I don't even want to talk about that right now because Chris Bryant that dude's robbing this Rockies organization. Jacob Stallings, catcher, so a little bit of a break there with the bat. Toglia has been a fun story. Had a hot June, hit all those home runs. But what is Michael Toglia's value across Major League Baseball, right? And I'm not trying to rag on these guys. Sam Hilliard's been up and down with this club for, the better part of a half decade at this point, it seems, right? And then you got Mr. Shunk there at the bottom of the lineup, hitting 135. The Rockies lineup, even with guys that were on the bench today, I know Nolan Jones is hurt, right? Jake Cave didn't play today. Eleris Montero, who we talked about to start the show, who can't stick with the big league club. They just don't have any juice. The lineup is, I hate to say it, filled with journeymen or fringe major leaguers and a couple of solid guys in Tovar and Doyle. I think Tovar and Doyle would probably be able to find a spot in any team's lineup at this point, right? And I just don't think you can say, and like, look, you're always going to have a couple of guys on your team that are starting or rotational players or whatever it might be, platoon players, that aren't going to be everyday guys, guys that are going to, give you a game or two here, give you a pinch hit at bat here, come off the bench and try to steal a base or pinch run, whatever it might be. Like that's part of the game naturally, right? Injuries, all that kind of stuff. But like the Rockies, they don't have an identity on offense. It just seems like Ezequiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle need to hit a home run or have multi-hit games in order for the Rockies to even have a chance, and both of them at the same time. It can't just be Tovar one game and Doyle the next. They have to do it together because they're the only two players on a consistent basis, and Doyle really not even until the second half of this season, July. They're the only two guys that it appears that you can count on, or really the two guys that help kind of unlock any sort of potential with this offense. Some guys have their days here or there. Ryan McMahon not in the lineup today. Obviously, he's a solid player. I forgot to mention him. Who started at third today in his place? Oh, Mr. Shunk at third place in his place. But it's not hard to understand why the Rockies are as bad as they are. And I think that's the frustrating part for the fan. Is it's one thing to have a team that is underachieving, that you spend the money in the offseason, you make the trades, you've drafted and developed these guys, and it's just not working, right? It's another thing to, put lipstick on a pig, which is what the Rockies are doing on a game in and game out basis with this lineup right now, and pretending like it's just going to magically all come together. Like, yeah, the Rockies had a winning month in May, one game above 500, if I remember correctly, one game above 500. And it seems like that's kind of like the benchmark for this Rocky season of like the peak of consistent good play. One game above 500 in the month of May. There is no consistency with this ball club in a positive way. The only form of consistency with the Rockies is negative consistency, poor consistency. Lifeless offense. Lineup lifeless, as I put in the rundown today. So it is what it is. Drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Who are your favorite players in the Rockies lineup, not named Tovar and Doyle? Let me know what you guys think as well. Who are some guys maybe that I'm, being a little hard on, or am I just right about this? Let me know what you guys think, because the Rockies lineup, in my estimation, is Bush League. It is very bad. And look, they're professional hitters. I'm not trying to dog on these guys like that, but it's just hard to watch. It's hard to watch, and we're in the dog days, so we shall see. All right, let's hit a break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show. We'll take a look at what's coming up for the Rockies in their next game and a couple of closing thoughts on today's game. When we come back right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast, stick with us. Back in just a few minutes, folks. All right, and let me tell you about our friends over at Supply House real quick, because you're going to want to get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product information to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every single time. Cannot understate how much I love that. In this era of computers and artificial intelligence, our friends over at Supply House are going to make sure you can talk to a human every single time. And I cannot, it is so frustrating when you have to deal with these computers. My internet wasn't working and I'm trying to go through the portal. It is such a pain. I ended up just going into the store. And that's what I love about our friends over at Supply House, is you're going to talk to a real person every single time you need some support. Plus, pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Be sure to check them out, guys. Supplyhouse.com. Let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you, and get all of your plumbing, HVAC, and electrical product needs taken care of with our friends over at Supply House. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are doing well out there. You can follow me on social media at MediaByAP if your heart desires. And also make sure to subscribe to the brand new Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. I was asking the question of, like, who are some guys not named Tovar and Doyle that you guys enjoy watching, or maybe I'm wrong about. My guy Yuki in the chat here says Toglia is my fave. I like Toglia too. As a guy, like Toglia kind of reminds me of like a Ramel Tapia type, like not in regards to how they play, but like everybody loved Ramel Tapia. Like who didn't like Ramel Tapia? You know, scrappy, had like that long, slender figure, speed demon on the base pass. Like I like Michael Toglia, and I think his positive play throughout the summer, late June, July, you know, with some pop in the bat. Like, how old is he? He's probably my age, close to what, 25, 26? Just outed myself with that. Yeah, 25 years old is Michael Toglia. So, you know, I think that's the difference between a guy like Toglia and, you know, I made the comparison of Austin Gomber, who's 30, or even Brendan Rodgers, who's what? Brendan Rodgers got to be at least 27, I want to say. Let's look that up. Brendan Rodgers is 27 years old. So I know they're only, you know, maybe not even 365 times 2 days apart. But at the end of the day, like, is Michael Toglia helping you get back to the playoffs? Is Michael, you know, I just feel like you kind of know what you have with him. I like him coming off the bench. I will say that. But as an everyday player, I like his glove at first base. And like I said, I think the pop's been a little bit better. Like the Rockies are in a position to give somebody like him the opportunity to play every day. Like Toglia is probably the guy that I have, like, I don't have beef with any of them, but like of the guys that I would be like, he should not be playing, I don't think he's at the top of the list. Like Brendan Rodgers, like, and like that's the thing, is Brendan Rodgers maybe a better player than Michael Toglia? Sure, but like, what is the future of Brendan Rodgers with this club? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm making sense. Like Hunter Goodman. Like, why is Hunter Goodman playing every day? Or, you know, playing on a consistent basis. You know, we know where Chris Bryant's at. I just don't really know. Sam Hilliard, you know, why is he starting, right? And we know the answer to that is because it's, you know, kind of a mismatched, you know, pieced together baseball club this season. But, you know, when you wonder why the Rockies are where they are, you know, you can look to kind of this Swiss cheese lineup that they throw out, you know, on a game in and game out basis. There's two outs in the there's two guys in the lineup where the defense or the starting pitcher or the relief pitcher probably thinks like, okay, I got to get this guy, right? It's Doyle and Tovar. I just combined the two. You know, those are the two guys that I identify as, you know, you really got to do a little bit of scouting if you're the other team. The other guys, you probably know their strengths, you know their weaknesses, and you just attack their weaknesses, and away we go. So it is what it is. But a disappointing outcome for the Rockies in this series, 9-1, your final score. Rocks at 42-74. Yeesh, that is just hard to swallow. But looking at it, Gomber, as we mentioned, 3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Peter Lambert, whatever, 3 innings, 5 hits allowed, 2 earned runs allowed, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. His ERA at 5.98. I believe he got yanked there with a potential injury. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Riley Pint, another Rocky lost in oblivion, clean inning, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And Mr. Molina there picking up the 8th and the 9th innings, 2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 earned runs allowed, along with 2 strikeouts. So those are your pitching dynamics for the Rockies today. We went over the lineup as well. Now let's take a look at what's on tap for the Rockies in their next game as we get you guys on your way. They'll be off, or no, excuse me, today's Thursday. I thought today was Wednesday. It always confuses me when there's a day off in the beginning of the week because I'm so used to the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series that it's just everything's kind of like moved over a day. But looking at it here, folks, the Rockies will be at home once again in the middle of this homestand. They'll have 3 games against the Atlanta Braves, and it does not look like a starter has been announced for Atlanta as of yet, but it appears it will be Tanner Gordon on the mound for the Colorado Rockies. He's 0-3 with a 6.75 earned run average and only 16 strikeouts this year. I believe he's only made a couple of starts for the Rockies. Let's take a look, shall we? This is going to be his 5th start of the season. His last outing came on August 3rd against the San Diego Padres. He actually turned in a pretty darn good performance in this one. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. So hopefully Tanner Gordon at age 26 is going to keep bringing the thunder for this Rockies team if they're going to want to try to start out this series against the Braves with a victory. And that's the thing. If Tanner Gordon does his part, there's no telling that the Rockies offense in the lineup is going to do their part. So that's definitely going to be something for us to keep an eye on. Like I said, no starter announced as of yet for the Atlanta Braves. I don't think in any game this series. Hold on one second. Yeah, we don't have a single listed starter for Atlanta as of yet. But for the Rockies, it appears it'll be Tanner Gordon on Friday, Cal Quantrill on Saturday, and then Kyle Freeland there in the series finale, a 1:10 p.m. matinee in that series finale against Atlanta on Sunday. So that is what is up with the Rockies after a disappointing outcome to this one, losing to the New York Mets 9-1. But Yuki says, can I bring up a sore topic? Skip this chat if you don't want to answer it. We DFA Jurickson Profar in 2023. He's an MVP candidate in 2024. Is there something wrong with the coaching? That is a loaded question. That is a loaded question. I might, and let me say this too, like, as long as it's PG-13, like I'm not allowed to cuss on this show. I don't think there's any sore topics. I'll talk about anything. I sometimes I love talking about the bad. Like, I could dog on Chris Bryant all day, to be honest with you, just because I'm so mind-boggled at how they got themselves into the situation. But I don't really know. I think the Profar situation is a little bit more of an anomaly. Like, because what was Jurickson Profar before, right? Journeyman player. I think it's just kind of like one of those catching lightning in a bottle, and good for him. You know, at the end of the day, I don't think Jurickson, I have plenty of issues and questions about the Rockies coaching staff, believe me. But I don't think that Jurickson Profar, the success this year for him, is a product of anything that the Rockies didn't do with him last year. I think it's just a combination of, he's a professional baseball player, right? You're going to figure it out, hopefully, at some point, and just, riding that momentum and capturing lightning in a bottle. But yes, definitely one of the more interesting dynamics of the 2024 Major League Baseball season. But no, I actually don't blame the Rockies coaching or how the Rockies handled him for much of his success this year. I just think it is what it is. That's kind of how I look at that, as one of those cool feel-good stories across Major League Baseball. So Yuki, my guy, I think it's the first time you've been in a live chat. I hope you'll join us the rest of the way here. I try to go live after just about each and every game. I got to give myself, a break period every now and again, but I'm going to be here for a majority of these baseball games down the stretch. So I hope you'll join me, my friend. Good comments, good interaction. Let me know what you're thinking about the Rockies in some upcoming shows. Love to get your opinion. And for anybody else listening out there, feel free to jump in the party, get in the chat. We'll have some fun. We'll go back and forth and talk a little Rockies baseball. But that is going to do it for me today, folks. Make sure to follow me on social at Media by AP. Appreciate you guys as always, especially you, my guy, Yuki. Hope you have a good day, brother. And outside of that, we'll see what the Rockies can do in their upcoming series against the Atlanta Braves as they lose today and lose the series to the New York Mets by a final score of 9-1. All right, that's it for me, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon going into the evening, and we'll talk to you guys mañana after Game 1 of Rockies and Braves.